My next guest defends his lightweight title against Ozzy Dugulubgov at WSOF 33 coming up here on October 7th. Justin Gaethje joins me here on the program for the very first time. Justin, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me.
No, glad to have you here, man. It's not often I get to talk to one of the top lightweights in the world here. And right off the bat, man, your name is, we kind of had a bit of a laugh at this off air. I was trying to add you to Skype, and there's like a bunch of other Justin Gaethjes out there, which I found surprising because your name is pretty unique. I got to ask, what was the worst pronunciation you've ever heard of your name?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, that is weird. I'm kind of scared that 13 people spelled it right.
Yeah.
So there's 13 other accounts out there. That's crazy. Man, growing up wrestling, going to wrestling tournaments, national tournaments, I don't remember the worst, but, they were always struggling. I would always try to make it a point after the first time to go up there and try to help them out because, you could just tell they're struggling.
It was a struggle, absolutely. Do people often spell your name wrong, too? Like, I imagine pronouncing it's one thing, but also spelling it as well, the last name Gaethje.
Spelling it's even worse.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I've got a jersey that a sponsor made for me, and it's spelled wrong on my last name. And then I got a golf bag from a sponsor, and it's spelled wrong in there too.
Wow, gotcha, man. It must be tough, having to deal with that. Everyday life, gotten people not pronouncing it right. So what can you do? You talked a little bit about it there, your wrestling background. Just talk a bit about that and sort of how you transitioned from wrestling to combat sports.
I'm not, I wrestled in college up in the University of Northern Colorado, and while I was wrestling there, one of the assistant coaches, he would bring some MMA fighters in to train with the wrestling team, and I don't think that's why I did it. I mean, since I was probably, 5 or 6, I saw it one time when I was a little kid. My dad had that little black box and, got the UFC. I remember watching like Tank Abbott and Renzo Gracie and stuff, and man, ever since then, I've something that I never thought about it really. I never got in a street fight. I had no idea if I could fight. And, once I knew that I had that assistant coach that could get me if I asked him to. And, he got me a fight. They got me 5 fights before I ever stepped in the gym and trained. So maybe not the smartest way to go about it, but, it all worked out well.
Yeah, it certainly did, and your record speaks for itself. I got to know, though, did you have any influences? Like, were there any favorite fighters that you liked watching fight before you started competing, or was that something that sort of came after?
I mean, I've always been, as long as, since it started, I don't even remember, it was like 2002 or whatever, whenever it started really picking up and getting big again. But I love, Matt Hughes, Chuck Liddell, George St. Pierre. Man, Chuck Liddell was one of my favorites for sure.
Excellent. Let's talk about your career here. You made your pro debut in 2011. The one fight that I always look at is like, what was the fight that really sort of put the fighter on the map? For you, it would be, for me, at least in my opinion, I think it was the fight against Drew Fickett in 2012. Because, Drew was a UFC veteran, a guy that, had a bit of notoriety there. I wanted to know, though, at the time, were there multiple offers from different promotions to sign you? Because you had the undefeated record, and like I said, you got the win over a UFC veteran.
No, not necessarily. I'm not exactly sure how all this works. Even hindsight, I don't know how it all would work or would have worked. I think we actually contacted the World Series. They were a new company and told them that I would like an opportunity, and thankfully they gave that to me. And that was World Series of Fighting 2 was my first time fighting with them. So ever since then, I've grown so much. They've grown so much. So it's all worked out very, very well. It's the path that I wanted to take. I'm getting paid more than most of the lightweights in the world. So I'm happy with where I'm at. I put my life on line. I fight my heart out. So I'm getting compensated well, and I'm very happy with the World Series.
I'm glad you brought up your World Series of Fighting debut because I think that's where a lot of people sort of got to know Justin Gaethje because your debut was against JayZ Cavalcante. I mean, a guy who had fought overseas. We remember him from Dream, from Strikeforce, a lot of other organizations. And you went out there and you finished him early in the fight. What was the response like after that win? Because I imagine that was sort of the one fight where people are like, oh, now we know who Justin Gaethje is.
Yeah, it was. I mean, my style is different than most. So casual fans, their response was, well, that was lucky, sloppy, blah, blah, blah. Pretty much the same thing as it's been everybody. I've done it 16 times in a row, 23 times in a row now. So, that's my style. You're not going to get used to me the pressure that I'm going to bring in 15 or 25 minutes. Or you can fight me twice. Paul Mino fought me twice, and he still hasn't figured it out. Even though I give that man credit for even, the thing I say is, you might fight me, but you will never want to fight me again. And that crazy guy, fought me twice and wants to fight me again. So there's a screw loose in his head.
Absolutely, yeah. Those are some very memorable fights, and if you look back in the history of World Series of Fighting, they're always going to reference those fights because they were, fight of the night candidates, fight of the year candidates. I must say. I got to, going back though to the JayZ fight just quickly. Was that sort of the moment for you where you knew you were one of the top lightweights in the world? Because again, JayZ had that name power. I mean, that was a big win in your career very early on.
No, I don't think so. Even to this point, I mean, I've always, been very, very, as a competitor, I'm very hard on myself, and, that's what's got me so far. But, man, at that point, I was just like, wow, that was awesome. And still now I'm like, wow, this is awesome. So, I mean, I know that I could, I watched enough fights to know that there's nobody that can step in there and just, and get out of there unscathed. So, but I don't know, right now, Ozzy Dugulubgov, he's so much better than me in my head right now. So every day I wake up in the morning, terrified to that I'm not going to be prepared enough or good enough. So I can only be ready. So I'm going to be ready for October 7th and put my skills on the line.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. Ozzy Dugulubgov, we mentioned earlier in this interview about people having trouble spelling and pronouncing your name. Has it been a struggle for you pronouncing your opponent's name?
Yeah. Everybody's asking me who I fight. Right when I found out I was fighting him, I made it a point to go on there and study his name, and hopefully I'm saying it right. I'm probably not still, but I'm saying it a lot better than a lot of people, so I'll be all right. Dugulubgov. There we go.
Yeah, it's Dugulubgov, I think. I had to look up a couple of his old fights.
Dubugulbgov. Dugulubgov.
Yeah, you got it, man. Jeez, if we were on Jeopardy right now, you'd be getting 500. Or no, not Jeopardy. It's a spell check. You know what I mean? But you'd be getting some points there for that one. That's a tongue twister if I ever saw it. How do you think you match up against him? I mean, he's fought under the World Series of Fighting banner, so you've been familiar, I'm sure, with some of his fights.
Yeah, I mean it's a great matchup for me. He's never been knocked out, so that's one thing. I know that's my only goal right now is to finish him with a knockout. I love fighting people that have never been knocked out. For one, they're kind of, I haven't been knocked out either, so I'm kind of ignorant to the fact that what's going to happen or what questions I'm going to be asking after. But that's my goal. I think he is a good matchup for me in general. I mean, he needs space to strike, and I don't give people space. So his spinning back kicks and his winging left hook or his winging hooks are, I'm going to be inside those all day. So he does not like to get hit, so I'm going to put the pressure on him and turn this into a brawl. And I think, he's going to quit. He'll quit sooner than later.
Awesome. I love it. Were you surprised at all that you weren't fighting Jason High next? Because he came off that big win against Mike Ricci, and High's a UFC veteran.
Yeah, I mean, I think this fight was already lined up before that fight happened, and that was, that earned Jason the next shot at me. As long as I win, if I lose, I get an automatic rematch. I got that in my contract. So, but yeah, I mean, I think they were planning on saving him for the big World Series of Fighting card at the end of the year in New York City, that matchup. But we go into his hometown, and if they were going to my hometown and I wasn't on it, I would be pushing to be on it as well. So I think that's what happened, and they had to they couldn't take Ozzy off. That's for damn sure, and put him in there. Plus, I'm not trying to go. I would be more than happy to go fight him in his hometown, but that's not what I'm doing here. I'm the champ. I'll fight where I want to fight.
You train at a great camp, Grudge Training Center. Who are some of the people helping you get ready for this fight?
My main training partner of this fight has been Nate Marquardt. He fights 1 week before me, so it's kind of hit us off perfect. We're both peaking at the same time, and been training for 12 weeks at the same time. So that's been my main training partner, and then we got a bunch of lightweights and welterweights in there, to jump in there and give me fresh rounds every time. I'll go one with Nate, and then one with the fresh round, then one with Nate, then one with the fresh guy, then one with Nate. So that's been my routine. He's tough. He's a great training partner.
I was going to say, and I'm glad you brought up Nate, because I feel like a lot of people sort of are writing him off and saying, is he retired? Should he end his career? What are your thoughts on that? Because you train with the guy every day. Do you think he's still got a lot left in the tank?
I mean, he does have a lot left in take as far as you know, this is a brutal sport. That man's been doing this forever, and he loves what he does. So there's a lot of cowards that sit behind keyboards and try to give advice, but Nate is the only one that knows, and I mean, he is just as strong as I've ever felt him. He hits just as hard, is just as fast. He just knocked CB Dalloway in the next year, 2 fights ago. So, I mean, that man can knock anybody out if he touches you with your right hand. He still has those brutal combinations he can put together, and his jiu-jitsu is one of a kind. So this is a good matchup. I mean, this is a tough matchup for him. This guy's really long, so it's a tough matchup. It's hard to get inside those guys, especially it's dangerous with those 4-ounce gloves and bare knees, bare elbows. All I gotta do is accidentally run into one and go to sleep. So I think Nate still has all the potential. He still loves what he does, and he's still getting paid a lot of money. So can't hate on that.
How's the cut to lightweight for you, and has that process already started as far as the fight on October 7th?
I don't really make it a process. I train super hard. I take 12 weeks from the date I fight, and I do not mess around. I don't drink soda. I try not to eat a lot of candy.
Okay,
But
that's your weakness is candy, I guess.
yeah, some sweets. So yeah, I mean that's the main thing is just don't cheat. Just hold yourself accountable because come the night of the fight, you got to look yourself in the mirror and you either did everything possible or you could have done more. And you're the only person that will know that. So I picked 12 weeks out and I do it. But so right now I'm sitting about 167, eating as much as I possibly can and working out as hard as I can. So it's all good. I can cut 12. I can be down to 155 tomorrow if I had to. But that'd be the wrong weight. I would have to severely dehydrate myself. I'll keep working myself down. Wake up at 166 next week, 165 the next week, and then stabilize there, and then that's a really easy cut for me.
October 7th, I got to get a prediction for this fight. How do you see this one ending?
The only way I will be satisfied is with the finish. I'm an entertainer. I will entertain you. I will entertain anybody that's watching this fight, win or lose. Someone's got to get knocked out.
You mentioned your situation with World Series of Fighting, and just look at the pay scale. You're getting paid pretty damn well to do what you do, and you continue to win. Do you ever see yourself fighting in the UFC, or for now, are you just going to, kind of looking at the long term of the sport, where it's like make as much money as you can and retire?
Yeah, I mean, all the sacrifices I'm making right now, I have to know that I'm fighting for the company that most appreciates my skills and my effort. So, no other company has ever even had an opportunity to let me know how much they would appreciate my skills. So right now I have 2 fights left. I'm 1,000% focused on Ozzy, and then as long as I win, I'm going to be focused on Jason High. And if Joao beats him, then I'll fight him. But one at a time, these 2 fights, and then I will be a free agent. I have 2 fights left in my contract. Um, I'm not saying that I'm going to go out there and see if I want to fight for a different company, but as a professional athlete, as a sole contractor, and this is my business. I have to make sure that I'm being appreciated the most. So I will see who wants to give me the most money. And World Series right now, I mean, I don't. They're not gonna just hand me over to anybody. I appreciate them and they appreciate me, and I know that. So I'm gonna keep fighting hard for them and just give them everything I have right now.
Yeah, and you've alluded to it a couple times in this interview, but I should mention to my audience. So if you win and Jason High wins, you guys will both headline that card in New York at the end of the year. New Year's Eve is what Ray Sefo told me the other day, which I think is great. I mean, how nice is it to be with a company that already has your next fight lined up for you?
Yeah, that is nice. I mean, that hasn't always been the case. That can't always be the case, especially having the championship belt. But yeah, this is the first time. I'm going to get 3 fights this year, as long as I don't get injured, break a leg or something. But if all goes well, even if I lose, I'll be fighting again in December. So, I'm fighting 2 more times this year. I'm super pumped about that.
My last question for you here. What do you like doing on your downtime? You live in Colorado. It's a big sports city. Are you into like the Broncos, the Avalanche, anything like that?
I'm actually a Raiders fan. I've been here since 2007.
Okay.
And I haven't been able to talk shit once. So this year I'm ready to talk shit all season. I'm hoping, but for the most, I don't even, I don't watch too many sports. I really, I find it hard to take my brain away from my what I'm concentrating on right now, and that's trying to be better every day. And then I like snowboarding. Winter's coming. I'm so pumped for that. I'm gonna have these 2 fights, so I'll have to be careful about that. We'll probably won't be able to get much into after this year. But golfing, I've been golfing. I golf every Sunday with a group of 16 guys. Yeah, I just like to hang out. I mean, if anything, I'll be out playing with my dog. He's right here.
Oh, good stuff.
Raider.
What's his name?
His name's Raider.
Oh, perfect. Very fitting, I must say. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
he got his collar, his Raiders collar.
Look at that, man. That looks great. I don't know if you can see here. I
Yeah,
got
I
my
got
buddy
the
here in the
cat back there.
background. That's
Yeah.
that's
She's
my
just
cat. I don't think they
killing
get
it.
along too well.
No, maybe he's a big old softy, and they do the same thing. They'll probably be laying by each other all day. He's so lazy.
Interesting. You mentioned snowboarding. I'm up here in Canada. I live in Toronto, but I'm actually originally from Vancouver. Have you ever been to Whistler before to do any snowboarding?
I haven't. I didn't. I'm from Arizona, so Southern Arizona. So I have not a lot of opportunities. And then I came here to wrestle. My first 4 years, I didn't get to snowboard once because of my obligations to wrestling. When they give you a scholarship, they don't let you do anything. So yeah, I didn't get to go. But now that as soon as I was done wrestling, I've been up there about 15, 20 times every season for the last 4 years, 4 or 5 years, 4 years.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to your return to the cage. World Series of Fighting 33 coming up here on October 7th. Justin, this was so much fun, man. Thank you so much for the time. Where can people get a hold of you on social media? And if you got any thank yous or shout outs, sponsors, anything like that, man, the floor is yours.
You can find Twitter. Just like I said, I got a pretty unique name, so I don't think I have 13 Facebook accounts or 13 Twitter accounts. So yeah, just look me up there, Justin_Gaethje, and then Facebook is the best way to get a hold of me. And I got my main sponsor is Fusion Vapor. Definitely big thanks to them. Grudge Training Center, my coach Trevor Whitman, my training partners there, and World Series of Fighting. They've taken unbelievable care of me, and I appreciate them to the fullest extent.